RACSINFOTECH. In this video, we are going to share a couple of Oracle Data Guard interview question and answers. In our previous video, we have shared a couple of questions, and in upcoming session also, we are going to share it a couple of things. Like if you are not yet subscribed our channel, RACSINFOTECH, so go through this channel on YouTube, search for @RACSINFOTECH. If it is useful, you can subscribe it. It's a part one. If you, I'll give you the link on our video description. Okay, now in this video we are going to see it a couple of questions. That first one is, what is Oracle Data Guard? Simple, like if you want to know the interview questions or some other part, first you need to understand the concept, right? Data Guard is one of the important concept in our Oracle DBA life main job. So first we need to understand what is the use or what is the purpose of Oracle Data Guard, why we need to configure all these things. So Data Guard is a high availability solution and disaster recovery solution provided by the Oracle that ensure data protection, high availability and data consistency by maintaining one or more standby databases or sync with primary. This is the answer. First, you want to understand, right? So Data Guard is nothing but you are having one production database. It's our production. So live, all the transactions, live, current transactions. So you can take any kind of business. It could be an online business or it could be a offline or real estate, medical, whatever it is. Their business users or internal users or employees are connected to this database. That database, we call it as a production. That is a live. Whatever the transactions, whatever the information stored into this database, we need to replicate or sync this one into another location with the same configuration into different locations. Suppose it is in India, India data center, we configure this primary. You can configure this is in Dubai or Singapore or some other location. But whatever the transactions are coming to this database, you need to sync those transactions to this database. Why we need this syncing process and configuring this database, this activity we call it as a data guard setup. Why? Because high availability. Suppose my production is down, which is there or in India. Okay. At this time, we required a database for our business transactions, right? This database we act as a what I can say primary or production database. If you don't have this, we call it as a standby player. Suppose in any game, players will be there. There are main players will be there. Suppose we can take a cricket. We have 11 players. Suppose any one of these player injured. So count is reduced to 1 and then 10 players. So game we cannot play the game with 10 players. What team management will do? They will take 3 to 4 or 5 standby players. So they will replace with this guy from the standby players. Similarly, our production database will be there. You can keep n number of standby databases for protection of this primary database. In case of our DBA activity, only one player will be there, like only one production will be there. But if you have a different businesses, so different productions will be there. Like different games you have, cricket, football, or some other rugby or some other games you have, right? Each game, there are a couple of players will be there. But in case of our database, we have each business, we can keep one production database. Okay, so each production database, you can keep n number of standby databases. Now you understand, right? Why we need standby? If anything goes wrong on my primary database, I can use this one or this one or this one as a primary. For this, complete this concept, we call it as a data guard concept. Data guard, to guard this data. We need to enable the setup. So we need to enable some of the parameters and all that we can learn later on. So this concept we call it as a data guard. Why we need data guard and what is data guard, we understand now. So high availability purpose. If any disaster happen on primary site, standby site, we can act as a primary. That is the one. Clear. Now, what is the primary components? Like what are the primary components of the Oracle data guard? Like as I said, we have these two, right? And we have primary, we have standby. If you want to enable the data guard on primary site, what are all the parameters we need to enable? So that is the question here. So on primary and standby databases, okay, primary components are our Oracle Data Guard. If you want to enable the Data Guard in between primary and standby side, we require one primary server. We require one standby server. We have, and we need to enable the Data Guard. Data Guard Broker is one of the configuration to manage your Data Guard configuration, syncing, everything. Manage. We will discuss that later. Okay, these are all the main components. Primary is there, standby server is there, and Data Guard Broker has been enabled. The primary database, this primary database main purpose, it's a production live data. Whatever the transactions coming, this should be sync with standby, sync only. Our business users will not connect to standby, they will connect to production only. That's the purpose. Primary database is the main production database. Standby databases are the synchronized copy of your primary. Whatever the data is there, right, the synchronizing of the copy, this is a copy of our production database. Data Guard Broker is the main framework for configuring, monitoring, managing the Data Guard configuration. That I can tell you in another question. So second question is, what are the primary components of the Data Guard? If somebody will ask you, you can answer it. Primary database, standby database, Data Guard broker configuration setup. That's it. And what are the different types of standby databases supported by Oracle Data Guard? We have multiple Data Guard types. One is, we can say three types majorly. Okay, we have one more also there, active Data Guard setup, that is different scenario. Three types of standby databases we can manage. First one is physical standby database. Like they're asking this one, this standby, how many types we can configure? Not this one. Okay, standby database types. This one we can do it in three types. Three types. First one is physical standby. Physical standby. Second one is logical standby. Third one is snapshot standby. Snapshot standby. So this architecture, we can use physical standby architecture or logical standby architecture or snapshot standby architecture. Or mode of the standby, we can use these three modes. That is what the question intention is. What are all the different types of standby databases? We have three standby databases. Those are physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby. And we need to go with individual also, right? What is the use of physical standby database and logical standby database, snapshot standby database? Interview questions, right? Physical standby database, it's identical copy of your primary database as it is how your primary database is there, block by block it is going to copy in physical standby. This one is read-only mode. Our physical standby is read-only mode. Users can query it, select queries only. They cannot write it anything on physical standby. Logical standby also similar to your physical standby, but it is going to apply the redo. Physical standby will apply the redo information. Sorry. Redo. Logical standby will apply SQL. SQL apply. That is the difference. Like our primary database and standby database. Primary database and standby database. We have two different modes. If you want to synchronize, like it's a primary, it's a standby. It's a primary, it is a standby. Suppose my primary database is there, and whatever this logical standby. My standby database mode is physical standby. Okay, PS. This is LS, logical standby. In this case, what will happen, right? Block by block, whatever the information is there in my primary, the block itself, it is going to copy it in the redo in the form of redo apply format. So there is no much difference. Structure wise, it is same. If you want to do the failover, if you want to do the switchover, it is bit easier to do that in case of physical standby. But in case of logical standby, it is going to copy or transfer the redo current transactions to here. But this redo will not apply directly to this logical standby. The redo is going to convert to SQL, and these SQLs are going to apply to the standby database. In case of some other situations where we need to do the switchover or failover, or if you want to use this logical standby, that is difficult to maintain that. So logical standby database, maintain the synchronized copy of your primary database, SQL level, SQL apply. It is not redo apply. Both are in read-only mode, we can able to open. Read-only mode only. Read-only mode, read-only mode. We cannot make read write these two. But it is similar to your the primary database architecture wise, block wise, copying the data wise. Physical standby is similar to your primary database. But in case of logical standby, it is not similar to your primary, but it is going to sync your redos, convert to SQL, and SQLs are going to apply. Here we are going to use MRP process to apply your redo. Here we are going to LSP process to apply your SQLs. Two different background processes will be there. That is different. We'll talk about that later. Okay. And third one is snapshot standby database. This logical standby database we cannot use for standby database conventionally. If you want to open this physical standby database as read write mode, by default it is read only mode. If you want to open in read write mode, you have to convert this physical standby to snapshot standby. SS, snapshot standby. Then our standby database we are going to open for read write mode. When we are going to open snapshot in the mode of snapshot standby database. If you want to convert your standby database as the snapshot standby, that database mode or type should be physical standby. We cannot convert logical standby database as a snapshot standby. That is the point. Clear. Now, next question. What are the benefits of using Oracle Data Guard? Okay, if you know the data guard, then you can use it. Like disaster recovery for primary database is not available, it will be useful. High availability, same scenario. Data protection, if this database is corrupted or not available, we can use this as a primary database and we can able to access it, because two different locations, two different data centers, we are going to maintain this data guard setup. If somebody will ask us, can I use the same data centers? Yes, you can use, but there is no use, right? If the data center power outage is there, network outage is there, then even though you are having primary and standby in same data center, there is no use, right? That's where we need to use two different data centers, primary and non-data center, and standby is different. In case of maintenance of your data centers or power outage or disasters happen on your one data center, you can use another data center where you have standby database that you can convert it to as a primary database. That is the use cases. You go through it, switchover, failover activities and other things. That is benefits of the data guard. And what is the difference between physical standby and logical standby? Just before I have explained, physical standby, exact copy of your primary database, it is going to apply the redo apply. Okay. And MRP background process will be applied at that one. It is similar to your primary, block by block, it is going to apply. See, physical standby database replicate the exact data blocks from primary database to standby. But in case of logical standby database, replicate of your primary using SQL statement. So different schema structures, data transformations, and different things. It is not similar to your primary, but it is going to apply the SQL. Both are in read-only mode provides. And moreover, if you want to go through it, more details, see here. Physical standby database, it maintains the exact replicate of your primary at the physical level, including the data files, control file, redo log files. You can answer this question. This one also fine. And logical, it is going to maintain SQL statement. It is not exact copy of your primary. Okay, it is going to apply the SQLs. And what is the another question? What is a data guard broker? Okay, what is mean by the data guard broker? Why we need to use? It's one of the configuration or component in your data guard configuration, right? Data guard broker, if you are going to enable it, it is very easy to maintain the data guard level configuration, switchover, failover activities, basic monetization, log apply, log transport apply, all those things we can able to use by using GUI mode also we can able to. It provides GUI and command line interfaces for managing the data guard configurations. By using data guard broker, we can easily maintain or managing the data guard configurations. That's what. It's very simple tool, like as part of failover or switchover. This will be very helpful. Single command we can able to do it. Okay, you go with this theoretical part. Difference between the switchover and failover activities. I think we had gone through it in our previous video, but here I can elaborate it more. Switchover is a planned activity and failover is unplanned activity. Simple. If I want to switch over my primary, if I want to do intentionally, I don't want, like, I want to test it. My production, suppose my production is down. How my standby will act as? How can I able to provide the standby as a primary to my business? So that activities, if I want to plan it, I need to stop this primary. intentionally and then start up the standby and then make it a standby as a primary and check. You can give the connectivity to business users to the standby database and then you can check it. That is called maintenance or planned activity. That activity we call it as a switchover activity. So role switch, primary becomes standby and standby becomes primary. Role switch we are intentionally doing a planned activity. But in case of failover, it is not planned activity. We have the configuration or replication between primary to standby. Suppose my primary side data center has been some outage is there. So immediately we need to make it our standby as a primary. That activity we call it as like our production is not available. Primary is not available as part of failover. Okay, we make it as a standby as a primary, and then we meanwhile we will work to make it a primary. That activity, unplanned activity, when standby database is activated as a new primary database due to the failover of your primary or original database, production database. Okay, that is the major difference. If somebody will ask you how to do it, how to enable, I have made some of the videos and placed on our YouTube channel. You can see it. Very simple. Like I have given 3 different kinds of videos. How to enable the data guard setup, how to do the switchover activity, how to do the failover activity. Step by step I have mentioned in our videos. Okay, and next question. How do you monitor Oracle Data Guard? Simple, right? As I said, we can use DZMGRL command as a data guard broker one, or by using OEM, Oracle Enterprise Manager tool, or by using SQL commands in command line, we can use. Our third-party tools, we have so many third-party tools is there. So we can use either any one of that method like data guard, broker configuration, or basic SQLs or command line you can check, or you can use OEM to monitor your data guard. And what is the role of redo transport processes? What is the role of redo transport RTP in Oracle Data Guard? The redo transport process, let me explain. The redo transport process is responsible for transporting the redo data, like whatever the redo is generated here, this RTP will transfer this redo to standby side. That is the role of this RTP. Who will transfer this, whatever the current transactions are redo is generated in primary side, it needs to be transferred to standby side, right? This RTP will take care of those things. Okay, and then transmitting redo from the primary database to standby database, asynchronous or synchronous mode. We have 2 types of modes, sync and async mode, FREM or no FREM modes. That we will discuss later on another video. Okay, so synchronously or asynchronously, the redo data will be transferred from primary to standby. That this redo transport process will take care of it. That's it. It ensures that changes made to the primary database are applied to the standby database. Keep them in synchronized. Both are needs to be synchronized mode. Who will take care? This redo transport will take care. Okay. In this way, and then next question: how do you configure Oracle data? Let me clear this thing. Then I can make it close. Okay. We can make video of this till this part. That is fine. Next question is: how do you configure Oracle Data Guard? How do you configure Oracle Data Guard? If you want to configure the Oracle Data Guard, you can use either manual method using SQL plus commands, or through the Data Guard broker also, we can able to configure our Data Guard. The basic steps including your primary database side configuration and standby side configuration setup, establishing the redo transport, enabling the Data Guard broker centralization management. Okay, I have make it one video how to configure the Data Guard. That also you can go through it in our YouTube channel. Next question, how does Oracle Data Guard ensure data protection and disaster recovery? Yeah, that's where, right, we have checked. Our primary standby is there, it is syncing with both the sides. And data protection and disaster, we already gone through it. What is the use of Data Guard, right? It is going to provide the data protection and disaster recovery, maintaining one or more standby databases. So you can answer for this. Data protection it is going to provide as part of redo synchronization. Each and every transaction on primary side, it is going to transfer through the RTP, remote transfer transport process, or redo transport process. By using that, our archives are syncing from primary to standby side. In case of anything is failover, yeah, primary is not available, our standby act as the primary. as part of disaster recovery, we can make it failover and switchover activities. In the event of failure of or disaster affecting on the primary, one of the standby database can be activated to take over this primary role and minimizing the downtime and loss of the data. We might have slight data loss in our data guard scenarios. Why? Because if our primary site is down, okay, and then you want to make it up your standby as a primary, you might need at least 1 minute to 5 minutes or 10 minutes time. During that time, your business might last couple of transactions. Okay, for that we have high availability is rack environments is the real application cluster. That is different scenario. We will talk about that. Okay, as of now, these many questions we are going to go through it, and to be continued. We are going to make it one more video for remaining Oracle Data Guard entry questions. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.